Hey, deserving listeners, people have been asking me to watch the show Love is Blind and talk about it. I don't normally do this, but let's watch the show and let's see what we find out.
Can you see anything?
No.
There's nothing happening?
Nothing.
I've had a rigid set of standards. I would only date a guy between 1 to 5 years older. I would only date athletes because I'm really athletic. But I'm 34 years old and I may not find someone based on the criteria that I've put in place for myself. I'm ready to start a family and I want to have the most perfect marriage.
What's your name?
I'm Jessica.
Jessica, nice to meet you, Jessica. I'm Mark.
Nice to meet you, Mark. Let's just get right down to it. Tell me about your family.
Both my parents are immigrants. They both came from Mexico. And I'm a mama's boy.
Okay.
Okay, so right away, I have some reactions. So in this show, they put, it sounds like 15 heterosexual men, 15 heterosexual women, or at least bisexual, and they are separated, they never see each other, and then they have these talks in these different pods to see if they're compatible or not and to see if they want to marry this person. Apparently, this show is based on getting married at the end of the season. And so there's been some people, some of the participants are saying, well, you know, with today, it's hard to really get to know people because we have our phones and distractions, and all the Tinder apps are all about your face, and it's refreshing to actually date and without, you know, seeing the other person and actually getting to know people. And they're framing it like it's never been done before, but this has been done for many generations. People have had pen pals or other kinds of communication without seeing each other first before falling in love, or falling in love at that point and then finally seeing each other. Or you just see pictures of people online. You communicate over email and over the phone, and you fall in love that way, and you don't really experience the person in 3D until after you fall in love. So it's not like this show is that different from past configurations of people coming together. But it is an interesting premise, and you know, it's a reality TV show. There are producers. The show is designed to try to keep you watching. The participants are the sort of people who want to be on a reality TV show. They could be acting. Are they really falling in love? You know, so we'll see what we find out on this show.
So I'm 24.
I'm 34.
Okay.
I've never dated anyone younger than me.
Really?
I think every relationship is different and you kind of have to take things as they come.
I feel that. Where are you from?
I'm from Illinois.
Me too. What part?
You're kidding. I'm from 2 hours west of Chicago. Go Cubbies.
I was about to say, oh my God, she's a Cubs fan.
Huge Cubs fan. Huge Bears fan.
I'm a Bears fan until I die.
Okay, so right off the bat, it seems like people are genuinely trying to date and trying to find someone that might be compatible with them. It's hard to always say with reality TV. Are they they all know they're being filmed. They all know that if they become notorious on these shows, they'll have a wonderful Instagram account, revenue stream after the show is over. So are they playing it up? It's always hard to tell, but I wonder how many of these people are genuinely like, hey, you know, I'm single. I want to find my soulmate. Maybe this show will work. I've tried all sorts of other things. Maybe this will work. Seems like a lot of the contestants or the participants are at least partially in that zone, if not entirely. So let's skip. I'm going to watch it. I won't bore you because you probably have seen the show, and we'll skip forward, and then I'll have a reaction to what I see.
I think I'm a combination of the two. And when I am around other people, I'm totally on. But there are times when I'm like, I just want to sit at home, watch movies, and chill, and drink wine,
I couldn't agree
and eat
more.
food.
Yeah. Do you cook?
I do cook. I do
Okay.
cook.
What would you make if we were on a date?
I would probably make either salmon, or I would make like some curry chicken, rice.
Oh, yes. There we go.
Yeah.
Now we're
do you
talking.
do you cook?
Yeah, I do cook.
I like a man who can cook.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's
I
because
can
I like to
definitely cook
eat.
for you.
So that's great.
Yeah.
So this is interesting to see. I feel voyeuristic watching people have that awkward first date experience or speed dating experience. But of course, they all signed up for this. They knew what they were getting into. They signed all the contracts. So I don't feel guilty about that, but there's an awkwardness to watching it. But it's also sweet to see people are trying to make it work. They're laughing at each other's jokes. They're trying to grease the wheels, so to speak. And it's nice to see the bubblings of love, if you will, which no one has ever said before, but I just did.
Gosh, I really want to get to know you more.
I know, I like you.
I like you too.
I like your voice too, you sound cute.
So when am I gonna see you again?
Soon as possible.
I'll talk to you soon, Laura.
Bye, Cameron.
Bye.
So I will say that I'm a little worried for these folks because obviously seeing each other in 3D, kissing each other, rolling around together is a fairly significant portion of the falling in love experience or getting to know someone experience, right? In the same way that if you only kissed and rolled around and you never talked, you would miss a certain percentage of the human being at which you're trying to find out if you're compatible and that you really like them. This experiment, as they call it, provides a kind of focused attention on the talking and the laughing and the questions and the verbal communication chemistry, if you will. I'm a little worried about them once they do see each other and they start to actually experience each other in 3D if they'll still like each other for various reasons. But I suppose that's all part of the tension of the show, right?
It's very strong, and I feel like I'm a good judge of character. So I'm feeling more comfortable. I'm feeling ready to just continue with this experiment and just meet more men.
I will say that it is a bit of a bummer that they don't have queer people. It's yet another example of queer exclusion in our society. The other thing is there's no Asians. As an Asian person, it's always a bummer to just see lack of representation. I'm not one of those people that thinks there should be quotas, but it's just another bummer of an example of like, were there no Asians who applied? Because that seems unusual. Although I did hear that this was shot in Atlanta, or at least the people who signed up were from Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't have as many Asian Americans as, say, Seattle does, but, what are you going to do?
Oh,
Hi.
hello.
Hi.
So what are some of your biggest turnoffs?
Turn offs? Oh my.
Although I will say it's nice that there's a lot of African American folks.
I hate.
And from what I understand, there's some Latinx people as well.
Being able to hear people breathe.
So what are you looking for in a woman?
In shape and beautiful.
Oh, that doesn't sound shallow at all.
If I had to guess, I'd say you're African American.
This is our first talk and you're already asking me what I look like. You're missing the whole point. What makes you think I'm African American?
Just your voice.
Who cares what my complexion is? I'm a woman. That's all you need to worry about, is that I don't have a penis.
So these are all the awkward segments in all of its glory. Again, these participants signed up knowing what they were getting into. I feel bad for them because maybe they had several hours of being, wonderfully represented, and then they asked one stupid question, and the producers decided to show that. Who knows? But interesting.
Actually, no, I'm white.
Are you?
I've only dated black men before. But honestly, I'm the type of person that I am attracted to personality. Not saying I want to marry Shrek or anything like that, but if Shrek had a good personality,
Hi.
Hey. Oh gosh. I didn't know you were in here. Nice snort.
God dang it, I gotta stop doing that. I told myself I wasn't gonna do that till like the second or third date.
Well, it was cute, so.
Well, thank you.
Turning into that, I became my own masculine influence in my life. I was a big tomboy, like I wanted to work on cars. I wanted to build things and make things with my hands. I wanted to be a badass. Hello.
I don't know if they did that for effect. You always have to question whether the producers edited it so that they made it look like that guy just ditched that woman in the room alone while she was talking. That's not a good look, I would say. Certainly, if someone's talking a lot and they're not asking you a lot of questions, that can be not so pleasant on a date. But just walking out on someone, I mean, you could certainly just chime in and say, hey, do you have any questions for me? You know, there's ways to make it at least not super terrible, but to just ditch someone in a room like that, it's not a good look. And now, apparently, all the women and all the men get a chance to talk to each other. That's interesting. I wonder what reality TV show hijinks will ensue.
Who were y'all feeling? None of them, because we're just through a wall.
I totally have a favorite. Favorite. Can we not? You don't want to compare the favorites? Because I had one guy swear that I was the same favorite.
I'm gonna fight you.
My favorite was Barnett. He made me laugh so much.
He's really sarcastic and perverted, and I'm like, yo, that's me, friends.
Another issue sociologically I want to point out is that they always put the age and the job. Just to point out how in our society we define people by their jobs, which is a little weird. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you watched this show and you saw the jobs that they were having, you slotted the people into a particular class or a particular type of person.
Honestly, probably 3 potential guys that I could see myself with for the rest of my life.
Is anyone a virgin here? It's like, somebody asked me that.
Really?
Are you a virgin?
Really?
It's a good question, right? 'Cause
Wow.
So how soon is too soon? If right here says now, and it says the same to her.
Sometimes right here is right here, though.
Oh my God.
Nothing wrong with waiting. If that's your choice, it's totally fine. We don't need to judge it. We don't need to label it. We don't need to pathologize it as society often does. You know, there's nothing wrong with having sex early as well. It's all just choices and how you want to live your life.
Does size matter, or is it the motion in the ocean?
It's the size that matters because there's no motion.
Okay. Typical reality show conversations. Okay, I've watched episode 1, now let's go to episode 2.
I have to think about how we look physically because they can't see us. Oh my gosh. Cameron.
Okay, that's very sweet. Again, I'm always skeptical. I'm like, well, we got 8 more episodes left in the season. These reality TV shows tend to like to have a story arc, and so we'll see what happens with this couple. But man, this is a pretty sweet moment. Again, they both know they're being filmed, but I don't know. They seem genuine in a way. I could be reading it wrong, but they both seem to actually be trying to find someone to fall in love with.
I feel like this.
But man, they already agreed to marry each other before they ever saw each other, and they've only even talked to each other, I think, for a few days or something. So it's just pretty amazing. Having said that, plenty of people get married after just a few days. My brother proposed to a woman after, I think, just a few days, and they've been married for 20, 30 years now. Whatever floats your boat.
Environment has allowed me to date outside my race without even knowing, mainly because Cameron and I's connection was so strong that I really didn't care what color he was. It just turns out that he was white. You're so handsome.
It is sort of interesting to think about if we weren't allowed to see people and we were only allowed to talk to them, if there would be more mixed race couples. There's a lot of people who will say, I don't date black people, or I don't date white people, or I don't date Asians, or And I wonder if there would be more mixing if people didn't see the color of the skin before they actually gave the person a chance through conversation. There would be, I suspect there would be more mixed race people. And maybe this is an example of that. I don't know.
I can't believe how beautiful.
Oh, you literally look like a prince, like Prince Charming.
And myself, coming from a mixed race family, my dad is Japanese American, my mom is European American. I always love it when people are in mixed race couples. When I see them at the mall and at the park, I always just think, another couple that took that leap and is contributing to the diversity of our society, breaking down those barriers. It's, the true sign of progression of a society is when these kinds of racial barriers begin to blur.
Sitting on the carpet right now.
I am literally so close to the screen.
Are you really? I'm literally sitting on the carpet right now, like crisscross, like just
Me too.
chilling, looking at it.
Me too.
So aside from judging the liberal use of the word literally, which I am guilty of sometimes, it's interesting to see into essentially people's hearts in this moment. Literally, just joking, figuratively, in fact, that you can kind of sense their hearts getting involved in this. They're getting close to the screen. They are feeling the vibes. They feel that closeness. There's a lot of conceptualization and theory around this. That, of course, we all have a need for attachment. Most of us have a need for love and for romance and sex. Not everybody, but most of us. We're designed to some extent to procreate, right? And so there's a lot of our brain systems, if you will, centered and focused on moments like this to fill us with all those wonderful feelings. It's also the thing that makes the world go round, right? Love and the poems and the love songs, and I'm in love with my wife. I certainly feel those feelings, and we can talk about all the theory around it all we want, but it's one of the most human experiences that we can have. Other animals have it too, from what I gather, but it certainly is a human experience. And you see it playing out. They seem to be having those feelings like, oh, I kind of feel something for you in particular. And I'm having those butterfly feelings, and I'm sitting on the ground, and oh, you're sitting on the ground, and we just have so many hopes and dreams, and they all kind of manifest in this moment when it's all clean, right? Again, it's a reality show. I'm guessing some of these people are going to start fighting, and so it's in this moment there's no complication, there's no fights in the past, there's no disappointment, there's no hurt, and so all of our hopes and dreams get put into this. It's a good thing. That's, again, what gets these things moving.
I want to carry that on. I want to have a family of my own someday, and I want somebody to walk by my side, not to walk in front of.
I adore that.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting phrase. I want someone to walk by my side, not in front of. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Will you be my wife?
Oh my God.
Will you marry me?
Oh my God. Yes.
You will?
Yes.
Baby! It's very touchy to decide when to reveal my sexuality to Diamond, because I'm just not sure how she'll handle it.
So it sounds like Carlton is referring to a sexual identity that he hasn't revealed yet to Diamond. I'm guessing he's referring to bisexuality. It's not clear. I'm sure it'll come out later. I'm guessing. And yeah, it does bring up an interesting question. Do you tell people right away that you're bisexual, or do you wait until a later point? It's a touchy question, because on one hand, it's pretty easy to say from the outside, well, just tell them right away. Certainly if we lived in a society that accepted bisexual people in the same way that we accept heterosexual people, that would be the thing to do. But we live in a society that oppresses people and You can literally be killed for having a sexual identity of bisexuality. So people have reasons for keeping that close to the vest sometimes. So when is the threshold when you do reveal that? And, is it anyone's business to some extent? But we got to think about Diamond's feelings. When would she want to hear about that? Is it fair that he hasn't told her yet and they've gotten engaged and she doesn't know that her fiance is bisexual? He didn't give her the benefit of the doubt, that he didn't believe like she would be cool with it, and he could be perceived that he deceived her and that she could be hurt by that deception. The bottom line is that as a society, we got to move forward on this, people. Things are getting better, and they're better than they were before, but they're not there yet, as evidence as to why Carlton feels like he has to keep that close to the vest. And, in his voice, you just hear the suffering that he's feeling, the rejection that he's had about his sexual identity, not only from romantic partners, but from society as a whole. Maybe from his family, who knows? It's just, it's heartbreaking, the position that Carlton is put in. It's awful. But now Diamond's a part of this situation. So I'm guessing since it's a reality TV show, they will show all of that play out on the TV show.
Hi. How is? Oh my God.
I just have to say, it must be so weird to finally see them in person, because they're not. It's over several days that they're talking, and then they finally get to see each other. 1, 2, it'd be so weird to have that all filmed, and there's like 15 cameras pointed at you.
In 4 weeks, we'll be getting married. My biggest worry is that someone that I'm super in love with and want to marry, I won't be able to walk down the aisle because she just can't be married to someone like me.
Is it true that you still feel the same way you felt last night about me?
I don't know.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Jessica would be a good wife, but after my dates with Amber and Elsie, I'm scared to have to pick between any of these girls, because I know all the qualities that they have and all the good things that can come from each person.
So I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, oh, he's a therapist, he's a psychology person. What are his analyses of these people's personalities? This Barnett guy, he's like a douchebag, right? I don't have anything to say because I can't tell based on the limited information that this show is presenting. Plus, they could be putting on an act. Plus, they could be very, sort of scared. They're on camera. Maybe they're not really revealing themselves. Plus, they're dating, and when you're dating, there's a lot of differences in your personality that you're going to present. It's just sort of a natural thing. So I can't say anything about their personalities. Plus, I don't really see anything that's diagnosable at this point. Oh, this is just normal humans dating and trying to navigate this. So I'm guessing as the show progresses, I will have more things to say about their personalities. But at this point, all I'm seeing are people that are just dating, and they're just trying to do their best given the situation. I will say that this scenario is extremely cringy to me, watching this woman get essentially rejected on international television. She signed up for it. She knew what she was getting into, but that's got to be rough. It's bad enough being dumped in the real world. It's got to be on a whole other level in front of billions of people on the planet.
Okay. I feel like I should go.
Why?
Because I don't fuck with people like you.
What does that mean?
Like, I'm not playing this game with you.
I'm not trying to play games. I'm trying to feel everything out right now. I'm trying to be rational.
Well, why did you, I don't know why you said everything you said to me then. What are you trying to figure out?
My freaking heart, man.
Your heart about what?
I just don't know what it's feeling. I'm trying
Oh my
so hard.
gosh. Stop.
I don't know what's going on.
We have our first attachment injury. This woman, I think her name's Jessica, she's hurt. She extended herself out there and she got rejected. That's an attachment injury. That's rough. It's also humiliating on a certain level. She's having that hurt feeling as a primary emotion, and then it's being masked by anger. She's coming out with anger. She's saying, you're playing a game, there's something wrong with you. This is very common for people when they're hurt in romantic relationships to do this. It's not particularly functional. It's normal to do. There's nothing abnormal about what Jessica is doing. But in my office, when I'm talking to people, I try to help them to go back to basics. You're hurt. You're humiliated. That's awful. There's no debate around that. Of course you're going to be hurt. You liked this guy. You extended your hand to him, and he, said he doesn't want to date you anymore. And, that's rough. It hurts. Is it fair for her to lash out at him? I don't know. It's in the eye of the beholder. I'll tell you, from my eye, I don't think he deserves it. She's basically accusing him of purposely making her fall in love with him, and so he could reject her. Maybe he did do that. It doesn't seem that way. It seems like he genuinely liked her, but he likes someone else more. That happens sometimes. I'm not defending him. Who knows? Maybe this guy is a douchebag. Maybe in later episodes, more will be revealed. But at this point, she's reacting normally, but again, it's not exactly functional. A more functional, differentiated approach would be to say, wow, that hurts. Can't lie. Or just to walk out. Just be like, okay, I guess we're done here. You walk out. You really hurt my feelings. I thought you liked me and you didn't, and that really is disappointing, and I'm pretty hurt by that. That's more mature, more differentiated, and really you're taking care of yourself at that point because you're allowing your true feelings to be revealed in a functional way. Maybe it even gives this guy a chance to say he's sorry, that he feels bad, and maybe he can say something that helps her, like, look, I have feelings for you too. I'm just really sorry, but I have feelings for someone else more than you. I didn't do that on purpose. So that allows for a different experience. At this point, she's kind of setting up a situation where she's going to walk away feeling betrayed, feeling tricked, feeling bamboozled, feeling humiliated. That's not usually the best sort of precedent or narrative you want to have around situations like this. Again, I want to point out it's extremely normal. 99% of people would at least have feelings like her. But usually I try to provide therapy for people in a way that helps them to grow from the experience and have it be an experience that will help them in the future rather than one that will hinder them. She's kind of going in the direction of hindering herself. Let's watch a little bit more of this.
Now you're trying to figure it out. Like, I know a million guys like you.
That's a load of shit.
There's people that don't know what they want, and that's you. You don't know what you want, and that's what a million people have told me.
That's what I'm here trying to do, though.
So again, it's that anger. She's accusatory. You don't know what you want. He actually is saying the opposite. He does know what he wants. He just doesn't want her, and that's awful for her. It's hurtful, but it's not that he doesn't know what he wants. He just doesn't want her. At this point, she's starting, I don't know what's going on in her head, but again, I can't analyze people. I can only comment on what is on this reality TV show. But we're starting to see a bit of her vulnerabilities here. She seems very sure of herself in terms of her reactivity to this. She seems like on a dime, she went from wanting to marry him to boom, he's a piece of crap. And it's an interesting transition that she's going through. Again, I get it. It's everyone's been through this. I feel for her, believe me. It's just awful to watch, but she's heading in a direction here, and we'll see how this plays out some more.
That's okay. Well, then you try to do it with somebody else, because I'm fucking over this.
Okay.
You told me last night that you were ready to propose to me. That's insane. You literally said that last night.
I like you.
I'm not even entertaining this conversation.
So she does bring up a point in that last night he did say that to her. He was also saying it to, he was actually saying it to 3 women. And, that's a valid criticism of well, if you're thinking about 3 women, you were giving the impression like you weren't falling in love with 3 women, that you were only falling in love with me. And so that didn't give me a chance to kind of know where I stood. And now all of a sudden, boom, the next day you're throwing me off here. Now, I will say that the women knew that he was connecting with the other women because the women were talking. And so all 3 women knew that that Barnett was interested in 3 women. So it wasn't like they were completely off base here. It's a valid criticism. It's like he could have been more honest. He could have been like, look, I have a lot of feelings for you, but I'm not going to lie. I have feelings for other women too, and I don't really know what to do. And I just want to be honest with you that I'm still trying to figure that out, and I apologize. There's nothing wrong with being confused about that, particularly in this kind of format. So, I think she brings up a point there.
This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could do without the music. I will say this reality TV show doesn't have as many of the tropes that like they don't have commercials, so they don't have that build up to commercial and then the recap and everything's drawn out. But the music is, I could do without it.
Hi, Jessica.
I'm pissed because I had visualized Barnett as someone I could spend the rest of my life with. Yesterday, I was thinking Mark, and Barnett came and distracted me with this game. So I really hope that I didn't mess it up with Mark. Like, he is just everything I've ever wanted and so much more.
What's up?
So I didn't show it. I didn't record that part of it as I was watching it, but she had a choice to make between Barnett and Mark here, and she chose Barnett and turned down Mark, and that was devastating to Mark. And so now, they're having another conversation here, and it's interesting that Jessica, I think that's her name, is framing it as the whole time it was all about Mark, and Barnett distracted her, rather than she wasn't really into Mark, and because she got dumped by Barnett, now she feels like she has to find someone, which has the smell of reality TV show motivation of like, because from what I understand, if they don't go on to stage 2, if they don't find someone in the pods to marry. So she could be like, I don't want to be kicked off the show episode 2, so I better find someone, and Mark's into me, and so now I got to get him back. That's what it kind of looks like to me. Can't accuse her. Maybe she genuinely loves Mark. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
I'm so sorry. I feel like such an asshole. I just I don't know, I felt like I didn't know what was happening. I swear though, it was him, I swear to God. Babe, I was so confused, And I'm sorry, I'm sorry, it's cut off. It is totally cut off. I'm not seeing him anymore. Barnett is definitely not what I want. Baby, I don't want to date anybody else.
I know my worth, 1,000%. And I'm not second fiddle.
I have found someone who I have worked so hard to think of and dream of in my head.
Oh my God.
You are just this perfect person on the other side of this wall, and I cannot wait to meet you and touch you.
Oh my gosh.
I have longed for this for so long.
That seems genuine. This is pretty interesting to see. Again, we'll see how this all plays out in the coming months, but yeah, these two seem like they genuinely like each other.
Everybody's had something in their past, but you gotta love yourself, and you gotta trust and let other people love you for who you are. And if they can't, then, in simple terms, they just say it's screw them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you or are you humming?
I'm behind.
So that was interesting. On one level, 2 vulnerable people talking, which is wonderful to see. On the other hand, it ended in that she was like, and he's like, are you a-huing or a-huing? Just seemed like a little slightly abrasive to me. I'm not sure. There's other ways to ask that. Nice to see people falling in love. All right, let's go on to episode number 3.
I just don't want to hurt someone, and I know it's gonna happen. And I'm like, I'm feeling the fucking pain right now.
Yeah, that's one of the things that people don't often talk about, which is the pain that people go through when they have to break up with someone. It's painful. I mean, if you're a human being, it hurts. You don't want to be the source of someone else's pain. You feel ashamed, you feel guilty. We have a human need to do right by other humans, and when we're not doing right by other humans, when they're so disappointed and so hurt by us, it hurts. So he's exhibiting that, which means he's human, which is good to see.
It's for sure the toughest decision I've ever had to make.
Who will he choose, LC or the other one, Amber?
So, I've tried to think, what my future holds and what's the right decision for me. I have to follow my heart. It's not ULC.
I literally can't even cry anymore about this.
I know.
You just don't have any regard for what you're doing to people. Otherwise, you wouldn't have done this to me. I would have never let you get to this point if it were me instead of you in that position. This is my real life and my real feelings, and you're not really the person I thought you were, honestly. Have a great life. I'm walking out the door.
Again, we're not privy to all the conversations they had. I mean, maybe he was extremely manipulative and lied a lot. Somehow I suspect that's not what happened, but maybe it did. She, like Jessica, was hurt. She just got dumped and humiliated in front of billions of people on the planet. This also means that they're basically kicked off the show, which when you're watching other reality TV shows, you know that people take that very hard. Even the Great British Bake Off show, which there is basically no prize other than a cake stand and some weird-looking flowers. People, when they're kicked off of the show, it's devastating to them. People talk about how it's like the worst moment of their life, and it seems genuine to them. So she is being humiliated. Most of us have been dumped at some point in our life, which is, could be awful, right? Even minor dumps can be awful, but imagine being filmed the whole time and everyone's like, yep, you're second best to some other woman. I mean, that's just got to be rough. And so it's hurtful, and you're having a lot of feelings about it. And it's easier to transform that into anger and to be like, da-da-da. And it's also a defense. I will point out that it's a defense that is not necessarily dysfunctional, to switch it around in your mind to say oh, he's evil. That's how I'm going to protect myself, because basically there's two choices that we can make when we're in LC's position. We can choose the sort of what I might call the accurate, differentiated point of view of just oh, we hit it off, we had feelings, I extended myself, I took a chance. Turns out he likes someone more than me. Maybe we would have worked out, maybe we wouldn't, maybe he's making the right choice, maybe he didn't. None of us will know, because none of us can look into the future. Maybe I dodged a bullet, maybe I didn't, maybe he's the one. That's a differentiated point of view. I'm hurt, I'm gonna tell him, look, you really hurt my feelings. I wish you would have chose me, but all's fair in love and war, and you chose someone else, and God bless you, I wish you the best. I'm really sad. Jessica and LC are choosing this other route where it's screw you. You were playing with me the whole time, and you treated me badly. And you know what? You're actually a bad person. You know what? I'm glad you didn't choose me, because you just revealed you're a bad person. That doesn't seem to be an accurate narrative, but it is self-protective in that it helps you to walk away from a situation of just well, I didn't just pass up on my soulmate. I dodged a bullet. Whew, thank God I got away from that one. That actually can be, and I think research supports this, that, in some situations that can actually be protective and helpful in the grieving process. It's well, I didn't want him anyway. It makes it less complicated. Imagine if LC took the purely differentiated point of view of just maybe we were soulmates, and, that could be a different form of ongoing pain, right? Other than he was a douchebag, he tricked me, I dodged that bullet, screw him. Now, there's pros and cons to each path, right? The angry narrative helps you to move on because you're not going to lament the past. You're going to be like, oh, I'm glad to be done with that guy. But the negative part of that narrative is that now the next time you meet someone, you're going to be like, is this guy going to use me? Is he being really truthful? I might not feel comfortable opening up to them, which can cause them to feel like they don't want to open up to me, which causes me not to ever meet anybody because I'm too walled up with people or I'm too reactive to people. The next time someone shows any sign of, like they don't want to, you say, hey, let's go on a date tomorrow. And they're like, I think I'm just going to stay in and chill by myself. I just need a kind of a recharge day. And maybe that triggers because it reminds you of Barnett and how he dumped you. And you're like, oh, you're doing this to me, and you react badly. So I generally don't recommend adopting an angry, distorted narrative. Now, unless it's justified, which it can often be, but it doesn't seem justified in this situation. If I was with LC and she was my client, I'd recommend taking a more differentiated approach because that approach is sad, it's disappointing, it's a bummer. There's a lot of grief in that situation. There's a huge loss there. But you don't walk away with jadedness and distrust in other people, and also distrust in yourself in terms of your ability to gauge people's truthfulness. I mean, if she adopts the narrative story, the negative narrative, she also walks away with the notion of like, well, how did I allow myself to get tricked? Am I that stupid? I am not a good gauge of other human beings. I originally thought this guy was for real, and now I realize he's not for real. So I'm not a good gauge of that. I can't gauge. When in fact, she might have actually been a good gauge of someone who was being for real because it looks like he was for real. But overall, I just feel bad for LC. It's rough to get dumped, particularly on international TV.
Why the fuck do guys not ever feel that sure about me? Ever. It's not just here. I feel like they're always scared and run. I don't know what I'm doing to do that. Or am I just like an unlovable person, which I don't think that I am. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Clearly, I'm not seeing it. I don't know what's going on. I'm just having
Again, I could do without the music, but wow. Yeah, I feel so bad for LC. I mean, she seems like a genuine person. She seems like she was genuinely, having feelings for him. And now she's triggered to believe that she's unlovable. She's like, this isn't the first time it's happened. It's heartbreaking. It just makes you want to be like, LC, you seem like a nice person, keep trying. You'll find your guy. It takes time. It's hard to find the right person sometimes. Don't give up. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It almost seems like from the time she left and this interview now, she kind of adopted a more, there's actually something wrong with me. What's wrong with me? And that is a narrative also that we don't want to adopt. It's just heartbreaking to see. She seems like she's genuinely hurt, and that's very sad. It makes me sad.
finally. Oh my God,
Oh gosh.
Again, that's just got to be so weird, right? If they have genuine feelings for each other, to finally be able to see the person in 3D. I mean, because you probably have a vision in your head of what they look like, and there's probably no way that the vision is actually like the reality.
Oh, shit. Holy God. Hello. Hi.
Oh God. Hello. Oh my gosh.
This is just me, but all I can think of when I see this scene is like, hey, hug him back. He's hugging you. You're keeping your arms in. Reciprocation. I don't know how he's receiving it, but If I hugged someone and they kept their arms in, I'd be like, are you going to hug me back? I don't know. That's just me. Okay, there it is. Now she's hugging him. One-handed. Keeping that hand in.
Hello, Mexican police. Come get this lady.
Come get you.
She crazy.
Bye-bye. They wouldn't touch me.
I had to pick the craziest person in the house.
You thought I'm not crazy.
Yeah, you're crazy. I knew that from day one.
Well, because I spoke my mind. That's normal, right?
You better be happy you're pretty.
Oh, so I get away with stuff because I'm pretty? Okay.
I would have been punched it a long time ago.
Punched it?
Punched it, like leave.
Okay. Watch your words here.
Come on, chill out.
Carlton is definitely a different energy than what we had in the pod. I don't know if he's nervous or if he's uncomfortable with something.
You make daddy feel good.
That's why you have that hat on. You not slick. Oh, you're not slick.
You want one that say mommy?
When I am a mother, I would love to have one.
I'm gonna get you one that says, do not fucking touch.
No, I would not wear that.
Well.
Yikes. Yikes. What is happening? Carlton seemed like such a nice dude in the pods, and now he's... What is happening? You know, again, you always have to wonder, did the producers put him up to this? Is he putting on some kind of act? But if we take it for face value, he is certainly putting up a wall and trying to push her away, which is indicative of insecurity. He's worried he's going to get rejected, possibly because of his sexuality, which he has not revealed to her yet. And maybe he's preemptively sabotaging the situation so that he has some control over the scenario. We do that. When we predict that we're going to get rejected, it feels better to kind of get control over that and to reject the person first or push them away and say, well, you know, yeah, sure, they rejected me, but it was because I pushed them away. And you could also, if you think you're going to get rejected, it's make you change your warm feelings for someone, right? And maybe for Carlton, when he was in the pods, it was easier for him to just be himself and to feel like he's going to be accepted because there's no in-person risk. And now that he's in person, he's like, oh boy, you know, now it's getting real. Now we have to actually talk about who we really are. It's not just a fantasy in a pod anymore. What if she doesn't like what I have to say? And this is his reactivity to it. I have to say it's pretty cringeworthy to point out. If he was talking with me, I would say, let's sift through the feelings, totally normal. You know, how would you like to tell her? A more differentiated, mature way would be to say, so I'm really scared. I have something to tell you. I'm sorry I didn't tell you before, but I feel like you need to know. And if you hate me for it, I'm sorry, but I really hope you don't hate me for it. And I hope that you can still think of me as the person you thought of earlier. And then just tell her, you know, give her a chance. And then talk it out. Maybe she gets angry because it feels like to her like you deceived her, which is, you know, an argument one could make. And you hear her. And you receive that, and you're just like, yeah, you're right. You're right to be angry at me. I hope you can forgive me, and I promise that I'm not going to do that ever again. That the reason why I was secretive about it was because our society, and I didn't want you to reject me. I was worried about it. I thought maybe if I could tell you in person, it would make it easier. I don't know. Maybe I made a mistake. Have the conversation, make the apologies, talk about your experience. We'll see what he does with this. I don't know. I believe in him. I think that he can do it.
What about one that says Carlton's wife?
Okay, I'll do that.
You what?
Yes, I would do that one if I'm your wife.
Yeah.
I'm saying we still got to walk down the aisle.
Oh,
So he's adopting something I saw a lot in young men when I would treat them, particularly teenagers. There's this tough guy persona that is very easy for young men to adopt. It seems like they're almost born with it. They're not. They're programmed. It's programmed into their head from all the movies and music videos and their friends and all this kind of stuff. It's this just like, I don't care, and I'm cool with whatever, I'm chill, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with being chill. There's nothing wrong with relaxing, but there is something incredibly transparent about these kinds of attitudes. I can't tell you how many times. And it's normal, but I have to say, as a therapist who treated a lot of young men, a lot of teenage boys, it would get a little old sometimes. It was, just time and time again. Girls would do this too, for sure. There was a fair amount of young women and teenage girls who were like this as well. And it's just like, can we please get past this defense so that we can actually move forward? Because the sooner you can actually admit you have human feelings, the faster you're going to feel better, the faster you're going to get your needs met. And the faster whatever kind of symptom is going wrong in your life is going to go away. Right now, I'm guessing Carlton is, he wants acceptance, and he's preemptively acting tough because he believes that if he gets rejected, he can be like, well, I never cared anyway, or something. I don't know. It's pretty ugly, to be honest, but I hope the best for him.
Walking down the aisle.
Okay.
Ain't no turning back.
Oh.
What you got to figure out?
We got to move in together. What do you mean?
And I commend Diamond. She is doing a wonderful job of holding on here. Lesser people would have really gotten into it with him at this point because he is not making it easy for her. And she's standing up for herself, which is great. She's like, I'm not crazy. But she's also not taking the bait, which is wonderfully mature behavior. I just have to point that out.
I have a big secret to tell Diamond about my sexuality, and I'm so nervous. Every moment that I spend with her, it's in the back of my head. If I don't roll it out the right way, it could just turn into a catastrophe where she just can't deal with it.
Yeah, and you're not doing a good job so far. You're not rolling it out in a good way so far, because right now you're making her really not like you, which means that if this does come up and there is any kind of negativity, it seems like she's a lot more likely to walk the other way.
I'm gonna get you a pogo stick so you can hop out of your feelings right now.
You know what? You trying to start something.
Whatever.
All right, so I'm just gonna go to the pool. I think this conversation's gonna get over before it gets too deep.
Again, good for her. She's just like, I'm going to go to the pool. I'll give you a second to chill out. It's a good move.
I know you. I can tell like when something's upsetting you, and I'm like, is everything okay? It's just that feeling, that energy I have with you.
I've never seen this side of Carlton, and it really hurts me. I'm so confused. I don't understand. It's just so many feelings are running through me that I don't even know where to start.
Okay, what's on your mind?
A lot. With you, I feel like I can be myself completely. And I feel like you know when something is off. Like, you can sense it. Like, I really love you. But it's like certain things are like always in the back of my head.
Certain things like what?
Like the past. I felt like there was no possible way you could, like a woman like you, as perfect as you are, as beautiful as you are.
Oh.
What's wrong?
It's just stuff that we have to just discuss because I feel like I've always been in situations where people have abandoned me and have like rejected me.
First off, you don't have nothing to worry about.
So there it is. He's talking about being abandoned and rejected, and that's why he has understandable terror and fear about revealing who he really is. We've talked about schema therapy before, and there's a schema around believing that you're flawed and that if you reveal the real person that you are, no one will really love you. He seems to have at least a part of that. Plus, he has a real, justifiable reason at keeping his sexuality hidden because there are a lot of people who will discriminate against him. And being an African American, man, there's the intersectionality of all that. So, you just feel for him.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
I do. I have a lot to worry about. You
What,
have
in
no
regards to
idea.
me?
You have no idea. You could leave me at any moment. I haven't fully opened up.
What is it that you want to open up to me about?
I don't feel like you're gonna want me after this information.
What information?
In the past, I have dated both genders.
What do you mean, like man and female?
Male and female, yeah. It's a lot to accept. I get it. It's okay. Like, I have my fears. I've gone through the thought of, fuck, you met the love of your fucking life, and now.
My question is, how do you know I'm the love of your life? Do you ever feel like you need to go date
Nah.
another man?
No. That is the biggest misconception in the world.
Yeah, it is a misconception. When a bisexual person says, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, somehow based on prejudice and bias and misinformation, a person in her position will often go to this thought of just like, well, so does this mean like you'll never really be happy with me because I'm not a man? Or you're always going to be wishing you could be with a man or something. For bisexual people, certainly that can happen, but it's not a higher rate than for heterosexual people. Plenty of heterosexual people down the line will wish that they could be with other people as well. Bisexual people are no different than that. Also, plenty of bisexual and heterosexual and gay and other identities of people will be perfectly capable of settling down and renouncing all other options. So she's exhibiting that misconception, but she's giving him a chance. She's not accusing him of anything. She's just like, she has questions, and she asked the question, and he's like setting it straight. He's like, oh, that's a big misconception. That's not how it is for me and other bisexual people.
The biggest misconception in the world for men like me who are honest, I love people for who they are at the core. This has nothing to do with it. This has nothing to do with it. Like, that has never been the motivating force in my life. It's a lot to accept.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at you right now. And
I'm listening.
But I feel like your eyes are so blank.
It's like a lot to take in.
So this is kind of a critical moment. It's a lot for her to take in, which is true. There are certain people where this wouldn't faze them at all. I just want to point that out. She's saying this is a lot to take in. A lot of women in her position would be like, I don't care. I'm bisexual too. Or I've dated other bisexual people in the past. Or I don't care if you're bisexual. Do you love me? Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's move on. But, it's not uncommon for someone to be like, well, wait, so what does this mean? And he, because of his worries that are somewhat justified, and maybe he's been abandoned by parents or other significant people in his life, he's starting to get a little tense. He threw it out there. His fantasy was probably that she would wrap her arms around him and say, like, I accept you 100% for who you are. She's not doing that. She's not running away. She's leaning in. She's listening. And he's starting to be like, I see blankness in your eyes. And she's like, just a lot to take in right now. So it's kind of a critical moment. So if I was here, I'd be like, okay, let's slow down. Let's take it easy. Let's give her some time. You've built up a lot of energy to this moment. She is now, for the very first time, contemplating what this means. Let's take it easy. Let's give her a little bit of time. We might expect some anger from her. I don't know if she's going to express that. She might have some confusion, but there's nothing so far that I would believe that they can't navigate this emotionally if they take it easy on each other.
I know. Fuck!
We were literally 4 weeks away for our wedding. Like, I love Carlton, but I was not prepared for that.
I may leave this earth alone, but I will leave this earth saying I was fucking honest. I didn't fucking deceive nobody, and I did one of the hardest fucking things I was ever do. I'm not a hider. What am I hiding for? Why can I not be myself?
Why you can be yourself? You can be yourself. I just need time to think about this. And so, I mean, you just throw a curveball.
I know.
I'm gonna
go. Just go.
See you later.
So there's a lot of different possibilities of where this could have gone. Things are still up in the air. She isn't overreacting. She's trying to take this in. You'd like to see her just say, I don't care. You're bisexual. What's it to me? You know, it's 2020. You let it go. In a perfect world, I think that's what we would see. It's not what we're seeing here. She's not rejecting him. She's saying, I need some time to think about this. Like I said, even at the very least, she might just be like, well, why didn't you tell me this before? What else are you holding back from me? I don't care you're bisexual. I care that you didn't tell me earlier. Like, you didn't trust me. How come? What else are you holding back? You know, is there something else? She's not really saying that. It appears that she is hung up on the bisexual issue. He's a little edgy right now. He's like, yeah, just go. We don't want to see that. She's not rejecting him. She's just saying, I'm going to go think about it. I don't know. Hopefully they can navigate their way through this. Okay, so that was episode 1 through 3. I think I'll end this episode here, and I'll pick it up next time with episode maybe 4 through 6 or something. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button thingy so that you can be notified whenever I post something. And also, as always, become a patron of the podcast. That's how we know you like what we're doing. So everyone out there, I feel like I'm on the edge of my seat. I don't know what's going to happen. So I can't wait to watch the rest of this. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do. You really, really do deserve it. And you deserve to find the love that you want.